The Cowboys on break right now. So with the Cowboys going on break, we have not a lot of time before we get in the Oxnard. Training camp begins on the 21st. I'll be there. I'll be covering everything I could possibly get my eyes on. I'll be gallivanting with the people, shaking hands. I'm not gonna be kissing babies. It's 2025. The world's different now. But I will high five your baby. Like if your baby give me a high five, like, hey, there we go. We'll do it like that. But I'll be in Oxnard. Tap in with me if you are there also. But I think I wanted to just kind of do a little video to let you guys know what I'm going to be looking for and some of the things that you can kind of prep yourself to just keep an eye on. Okay, so I figured I could just make this one humongous video, but it still ain't cowboy content time yet. So there's still a need to get a couple more videos out. So I'll do offense today, which I think offense is going to take a good amount of time, and it'll really allow me to focus on what needs to be focused on. As I started writing down topics, I came up with a good 5 of them, right? Like 5 things to come up with for offense, or 5 things I'm looking for offensively, 5 things I'm looking for defensively. I know that sounds like a very YouTube-y title, the 5 things to be looking for, but I think these 5 are really gonna be the meat and potatoes of what we're gonna be looking for in training camp. Offense today. Next time I do this, it'll be defense. All right, so y'all, let's do this. Let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Let's run this for the cardio. I think we'll just start here. I think one thing that we need to be looking for. And look, these are super nuanced categories. Like it ain't like I'm saying, oh well, let's see who wins running back 2. You know what I mean? Because I think over time you know a lot of those things would just sort themselves out. I'm looking for specific things like Dak Prescott's mobility. You know what I'm saying? We know that, or at least we feel like. I ain't gonna say I know because you just hear things, but I feel like Brian Schottenheimer has been, dirty macking. I think that's how he got his job. Just in case you don't know what dirty macking is, if you talking to a lady and that lady got a man or a boyfriend or whatever, what you do is you start talking about how terrible that man is and all the mistakes that he's making and how you wouldn't dare make those same mistakes. I think that same use that same use of shade and treachery can be applied here, but it's called dirty macking, right? So if you're Schottenheimer, you would imagine that a lot of the talking points that you made in your job interview towards Jerry Jones, it'll be something along the lines of, hey man, how dare Mike McCarthy not get Dak Prescott going with his legs? How dare they not do XYZ? They not get Turpin involved, right? I imagine Dak is a guy that is a winner and he wants to do everything that he can to win. But I also look at Dak as a guy that's fearless. And every single year we talk about Dak or we listen to Dak, we hear Dak talk. Dak always talks about him wanting to run. Every offseason, he constantly comes back and makes the point and reiterates the point that he wants to run more. He wants to use his legs more because there are opportunities to where Dak can use his legs and it'll give us an advantage. Think about how many times. And, I hope this ain't too football jargony. I'll explain later. But how many times have we, looked at a game, they're in the game, they run this read option concept, they're reading the backside edge guy, they let him run free, and the read is supposed to be Dak pulls the ball and run, and it's wide open, but Dak never pulls it, no matter what the edge does. If the edge stays, he hands the ball off. If the edge chases down the running back, Dak still hands the ball off, and it'll always result in like this negative run. And I'm sure it's designed like that. Somebody called in my show one time, said something so profound. Everybody was kind of pissed off at Dak or whatever. But the caller that called my show, maybe Uncle Charlie or something, I don't know. But they was like, "Hey man, Dak is only doing what the coach is telling him to do." At the end of the day, Dak is going to do what the coach tells him to do. So if it's in the design for Dak to not pull the ball and hand the ball off, then Dak won't pull the ball. You know what I'm saying? If I had to bet, I bet you Dak being a guy that wants to run and Shotty being a first-time head coach that wants to win, I bet $20 to a donut that Dak has come to Shotty be like, hey, man, let me use my legs. Shotty's probably going to look at Dak and go, Well, if you're fine, if you're good to go, if you're okay to run, then I'll let you run. And maybe that's why when we hear Dak in these press conferences and these these locker room availabilities, Dak is always preaching the idea, hey, I feel good. Hey, my legs are fine. My legs are strong. I ran around really good today. And I think it checks out because if you look at Dak in OTAs and minicamp, he wasn't limited. He's waiting for the official check off of the doctor. We all anticipate Dak to have a full training camp. But he was moving around really well. Just taking it behind the scenes here. I know my YouTube audience knows this, but my Bleacher Report audience may not. But I actually work at the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. So when I'm walking to their podcast studio, I look over to the right, you know what I'm saying? And I see Dak and them out there with Britt Brown on the courts and whoever else it may be out there because they ain't got jerseys and numbers on. So sometimes a lot of these cats hard to identify. But you know Dak. Yo ass know Dak Prescott. You see him from a mile away, right? You see Dak and you go, damn, boy, Dak's moving fine. And then you get these reports that say Dak is moving fine and Dak is doing everything in camp practices and OTAs and mini camp practices and all this kind of stuff. So then he says he's full to go for training camp. Dak's mobility is a major point that we need to keep eyes on. One, because him moving around gives your offensive line a little more room to make a mistake here or there. This is still a young offensive line that's missing Hall of Fame talent. It can still be a good offensive line, but it's an offensive line that's still missing Tyron Smith. So even Dak being able to move around gives your offensive line maybe another tick to recover or work or things like that. But we all want Dak to run around and be able to roll out, sprint, and maybe get a couple of yards on the scramble when the spy guy's not looking or some of the linebackers or the defense coordinator that we're opposing hadn't called that play. Something else is going to be important is running back pass protection. We just talking about camp stuff, right? Running back pass protection is going to be super important to keep eyes on because we won't know who the better running back is until we get to preseason games because they're not allowed to tackle in camp. That was hollering, stay up, don't get hurt. So we don't see running backs get tackled to the ground a whole bunch in training camp. But what we do see in training camp is we have an opportunity to see running backs step up in pass pro. Why is pass pro so important right here? Because I'm willing to bet you the running back that shows enough promise in pass protection and they pair that with their actual talent, those dudes are going to be playing a whole bunch. And we know this because Tony Pollard, think about it, man. Tony Pollard was such a talented running back just as a runner, but there are many times where Tony Pollard wasn't on the field because he couldn't pick up the pass protection, right? They'll put Hunter Lipke out there sometime. They'll put Zeke out there when he was playing and all this kind of stuff. But, guys get taken off the field no matter how talented you are. So this is really me speaking to Jaden Blue, speaking to, to the young guys, Phil Moff or whatever, right? I think the young guys are going to have every opportunity to take a job away from these older running backs because that's really what the National Football League is these young running backs taking over, fresh legs taking over. Jaden Blue got the freshest legs in the building. And that's just by the number of carries, and he's going to have to be involved in the passing game a lot. He's going to be on the field on third downs a bunch. If he's going to be on the field at third downs a bunch, you need to see if Jaden Blue can pick up pass protection. So just in general, if Jaden is a perfect pass protecting running back and he doesn't have any setbacks there, you can see Jaden Blue starting in week 4. You can see Jaden Blue starting in week 4. If not, then it'll be one of the veterans. You'll see Miles Sanders and Vontae Williams out there, and they'll just be giving you whatever they can as old man running backs, but at least you will be fine on third downs. You ain't got to worry about getting Dak Prescott killed. Dak is your main investment. So, of course, running back pass pro is going to be a huge factor there, but that's something we need to look out for. Man, how about this, though? I said the battle for wide receiver 3, 4, and 5. I've already talked to you about, my talking point on my theory. Not even theory, just my idea that George Pickens bumped everybody down 2 spots. George Pickens bumped everybody down 2 spots because when George Pickens is not here, it's CeeDee Lamb as the main guy and everybody else is rotating and taking turns and having fun, and everybody getting in is what they call it. Hey man, we getting our PT in. We getting in. You getting in. I'm getting in the game. I'm getting in. We getting in. Everybody had an opportunity to get in. Jalen Brooks was a part of your rotation. Flournoy was a part of your rotation. I'm not positive that Trayshawn Holden would have been a part of your rotation in year one, but all these guys would have been a part of the game plan because you would need two of them. Lamb is on the field, and if we're in 11 personnel, it'll be Mingo and Brooks. It'll be Flournoy and Turpin. It'll be Tolbert and Mingo. Whatever the combination may be, all these guys could take turns getting in the game. When Pickens is in the game, y'all asses get bumped down. Y'all get bumped down a couple slots. So now it ain't, 5 of you and 2 of you gonna be on the field at the same time. Now it's really 4 of you against yourselves, and you're fighting for your time to get into the game. You're fighting for your opportunity to get into the game. And now we've added an archetype to the party, right? George Pickens being a physical, down the field, jump over you guy, deep threat kind of dude, right? So if you're a physical type wide receiver, not really a route running type of guy, you're creating redundancies by being out there. So now if you're Tolbert and Mingo, let's just say Mingo just flat out beats Tolbert in spectacular fashion. Let's just say Tolbert beats Mingo in spectacular fashion. Then the third wide receiver is going to be Tolbert. The third wide receiver is going to be Mingo. And it may or may not be much of a rotation. It was going to be a huge rotation when Pickens wasn't here. But the winner of Tolbert and Mingo, like they're going to earn their slot. And honestly, even if, let's just say Tolbert wins, right? And he wins this battle with Mingo. Mingo is still going on the field a little bit. It'll be like a 70-30 split between Tolbert and Mingo. But think about how many less opportunities Jalen Brooks has now, or Flournoy has now, to where all these guys could be on the team kumbayaing out here. You got your wide receiver 2. Tolbert and Mingo gonna fight for wide receiver 3. The loser of that's gonna be wide receiver 4. Turpin's gonna kind of be a wide receiver 5 type guy. You may only have room for one more guy if they do that. If the Cowboys go short at wide receiver, then Brooks, Flournoy, they're gone. They just cut. They can, I mean, maybe practice squad, Brooks, Flournoy. I know Trayshawn definitely is practice squad eligible because he's a young guy, but those guys are gone. Those guys are out of here. Those guys are out of here. If the Cowboys keep 5 receivers and Turpin is the 5th one, those guys are out of here. But if the Cowboys are gracious enough to keep 6, now you got those 3 guys that probably would have made the team anyway. Brooks, Flournoy, Holden, whatever, whoever, Cropper, pick a guy. Only one of those dudes make the team now. So now your fight for wide receiver 3, 4, and 5 gets way more interesting. There's going to be a trickle down effect, and it's going to happen fast. The battle for wide receiver 3 is going to take a long time. It might take the whole camp. You're going to need every single week of camp and every preseason game to properly evaluate Mingo versus Tolbert. And then once it's decided that it's going to be, let's say, Mingo, I've taken turns picking a winner, by the way. A little bit ago, I said Tolbert was the winner. Now I'm saying Mingo, right? I'm just giving both guys a shot. Let's say that Mingo's the winner. Okay. That means the battle for wide receiver 4 is happening fast. Now it's Tolbert versus Brooks, Flournoy, and Holden. You may be saying, Voch, why not Turpin? Turpin ain't going nowhere. Turpin's here because he's a return guy. Turpin is already wide receiver 6 for real. If they carry 6 wide receivers, Turpin's wide receiver 6. If they carry 5 receivers, Turpin's wide receiver 5. He's on the roster already. Depending on how many wide receivers the Cowboys carry is which one of those guys ain't got a job. Turpin's gonna be here regardless. So the battle for wide receiver 3 is going to be a long time. The battle for wide receiver 4 is going to be made up just as fast as you made that decision for wide receiver 3. How fast you think the battle for wide receiver 5 is going to be? We don't need 5 weeks to determine who's won the battle between Jalen Brooks and Ryan Flournoy or Trayshawn Holden. We don't need 5 weeks for that. As soon as we decide what happens with Mingo and Tolbert, not Turpin, Tolbert, we'll know exactly how we feel about Flournoy and Brooks. Peanut butter BB is a thing, y'all. I just kind of want to see what that looks like. And this ain't even like me going into big depth about it. I just think you need those peanut butter BB and Guyton, by the way. We need to see what both those guys look like on the offseason program. Big as hell, swole up. So, and look, this don't require a whole bunch of analysis to me. Of course, size matters here. Now, Guyton last year being 6'7", 322, that's fantastic size for him, but he was like kind of slim almost. You know what I mean? Like he was slim with a little bit of baby fat on him, right? I want to see what swole. I've been on the offseason peanut butter. I'm big, grown man body. I want to see what grown man body 6'7". He'll probably be 320 still, 320, 315 or something like that. What does Guyton look like when his weight is put on properly? BB, I ain't got no question marks about BB and how he's gonna look and whether his peanut butter is gonna work properly. I know Cooper BB is gonna show up with no neck and he's gonna be big as hell. And I know he's going to be the nucleus of this offensive line right there in the middle. And I know him and both the Tylers, Booker and Smith, they both going to Voltron this thing to pieces, and the combo is going to be ridiculous. That's going to be fun to watch in general. Just watching the interior, put Osa and Mozzie to work and Jay Toia to work. Just watching those guys move bodies. That's going to be one of the more fun parts of camp to keep eyes on. But it's all going to revolve around Cooper BB and Tyler Guyton coming back in their peanut butter body, which is big as hell, in case y'all didn't know what peanut butter was. Also, one more thing we just need to look for, the fifth thing, is Joe Milton, the passer. We know what Joe Milton, the thrower, looks like.
Did you hear what I said?
But we need to have some confidence in Joe Milton, the passer. And of course, he may not be a great practice guy, but we know that he's a bit of a gamer. We've seen Joe Milton in games make some plays or whatnot, but it's not about him as a thrower. We know that Joe Milton can throw the piss out the football. We know he's athletic. We know he's a tank. He's a big dude that's gonna run people over. But can you keep the offense on time? Can you line everybody up and identify the mic and protections and all this kind of stuff, the quarterbacky things, right? So when Milton is here, it's all about his development or whatever. Why is that important? Well, Milton has a cannon, a very impressive cannon. Milton may have a better arm than Josh Allen. That's not me hyping him up or anything like that. Milton got one of the best arms in the league, just arm talent goes. As far as arm talent goes, he may not be the best player in the league because of the quarterback things, but if Milton can develop over these next 2 years, I think the next quarterback that you look for to step in and be the guy behind Dak Prescott, or when Dak leaves or whatever, the next Dallas Cowboys quarterback could be on your roster right now. And it gives you an out in case, Dak is playing contract games with you, Dak's old, or Dak is injury riddled towards the end of his contract or whatnot. It gives Milton an opportunity to get first crack at being the guy. And that's going to be Milton hitting slants, hitting hitches, not overthrowing bubbles, not hitting Pam Oliver on the sideline, not throwing the ball at me when I'm out there. Joe Milton is going to have to get the routine passes down. Okay, he can make the super deep throws, the 80-yard passes, throw the ball 70 yards on your knees, you know what I'm saying, all this kind of stuff. But he's going to have to keep the offense on time. And the minute Joe Milton keeps the offense on time, that's going to let us know a lot about the Cowboys' future at the quarterback position. Those are my 5 things, man. I think those things are very important to keep an eye on in training camp. I want everybody to kind of keep eyes on those storylines. I hope y'all was writing this down because it's going to be on the test. We're going to revisit all those things as we go along, and I'll be in Oxnard the 21st through the 29th. So if y'all there, tap in with me. But I'll be relaying all this information back to the Bleacher Report app if they'll be so inclined to have me there. All right, follow me on all my platforms: VOCHLOMBARDI. We trying to get 100,000 on YouTube. Hold your boy down with that. And I love y'all to pieces, man. Until next time. All right, peace.